Don't panic. This is only a tag. Hello, welcome to my channel. Another bibliophile reads. My name is Greg. Today I am doing a tag, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book tag, created by Gareth at Book Songs and Other Magic. Gareth, along with the channel Book Blather, which features Dave and Olive, have a fortnightly live show. And this week they are going to be doing their 42nd episode. Now, if you are familiar with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you will know that 42 is an important number in that book series. So Gareth created this tag to celebrate the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I will release this video on the same day that they will have their 42nd episode. I remember being introduced to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as a radio program. I was really rather young at the time. This would have been late 70s, early 80s, so probably too young to actually appreciate everything about the radio series. And then as I grew older, I was probably in college at the time, I saw on PBS the BBC adaptation of these books. And that adaptation was pretty funny. Supposedly, or not supposedly, there was a movie adaptation of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I have never seen the movie. I don't think I will ever see the movie. But then, much later, as an adult, I started reading The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books. And these books are absolutely magnificent, humorous science fiction. I can really recommend these books to anyone who likes science fiction, and maybe people who don't normally read science fiction but just want a good laugh. Now, I have only read the first 3 books in this series. There are a total of 5, and I have to get around to finishing this series. So on my watch list at Amazon, I am paying attention to the book prices. Currently, you can get a 5-volume box set of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for about $32, which is a little bit higher than I want to pay. It has been down in the low 20s previously when Amazon has sales, or I might just get the Kindle version of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as a single volume. It's like $13.99. That's probably the best bet. I was looking at used bookstores in the past months, and each volume of a used paperback at the used bookstore was going for about $7. So not a good deal at a used bookstore. I'll probably go for the Kindle to read this series. This tag has 9 prompts. Prompt number 1, demolishing your house. What book would you look for first to save from the demolition? And this is taken from the book series where Arthur Dent has notices that his house is going to be demolished. And I have a number of choices to choose from. I'm only going to pick a book that I cannot replace otherwise. And this, hold on, is the 7-volume set of Rising Up and Rising Down by William T. Vollman. This does come in 7 volumes, but is considered one book. This is one gargantuan essay on violence and when it is necessary to use violence. I have read the first volume. I have not read the rest because this is a daunting and complicated book to read. And one of these days, I will make some time to read the whole thing. And if my house is demolished and I only save 1 book, I guess that would be the time. Prompt number 2, Vogon Poetry. Quote a poet, a line of poetry, or a lyric that you love. I'm sure it will not come as a big surprise to people who know my channel that I am going to be reading the first sentence of the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels, and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells, streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask what it is. What is it? Let us go and make our visit. It's difficult to say why I love the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock so much. I think in part it is because I can associate with Prufrock. I can feel his loneliness, or what it would have been like to be a very lonely man, unmoored in life and having no direction and never finding love. Prompt number 3, 42. The answer to life, the universe, and everything. What is the point? What is the meaning of life? I don't know. But I will hold up a book that I first read as a sophomore at the University of Maryland. And this book has influenced me for the rest of my life. This is, of course, the very famous The Stranger by Albert Camus, sometimes translated into English as The Outsider. This is about an Algerian man who commits a killing on a beach. And whether it is a justified killing or an unjustified killing is a matter of great debate. And Rousseau, the character, is tried and convicted in this book. The man that he murdered was an Arab, and Rousseau was a French Algerian. And as it's been explained to me, at this time in Algeria, that the French considered themselves very superior to the Arabs, it would not have been dissimilar to a white man murdering a black man in the Jim Crow era in the South. He should not have been convicted. He should have just gotten away with it. But Rousseau did not cry at his mother's funeral, and therefore there is something very seriously wrong with this man, according to the Algerian society at the time. And the lesson that I learned from this book is that it's okay not to believe in God, because Rousseau did not believe in a God. Camus did not believe in a God, and there is nothing wrong in having no belief in a deity. Number 2, you are responsible for your own actions. Rousseau does kill the Arab, and he does admit to himself that, yes, I committed this act, and I am responsible for this act. And that is a very important thing to do, because many people don't take responsibility for their own actions. It does not necessarily have to be as serious as murdering another human being. They disown what they do. They say someone else is to blame. And Rousseau could have blamed other things. The Arab that he murdered was carrying a knife. It could have possibly been justified homicide. Maybe. That is a bone of contention. But Rousseau, he takes responsibility for what he did. And third is that nobody has the right to judge you for who you are. Rousseau was judged for not crying at his mother's funeral, not for killing the Arab. And they consider that a very insensitive soul. But take that one step further. People judging other people for other reasons. Maybe they judge you by the color of your skin. Maybe they judge you for your sexual preference. Maybe they judge you for your politics, or maybe they judge you for your religion. But nobody has the right to judge you for who you are. Rousseau did not cry at his mother's funeral because he did not feel the need to cry, and nobody should have judged him for that. So those are the 3 lessons that I learned from The Stranger. It's okay not to believe in God. You are responsible for your own actions, and nobody can judge you for who you are. I hope other people can learn those lessons as well. Prompt number 4. It's radio beginning. What is your favorite memory in your experiences as a listener to the radio? I have to admit that I was never really a big listener of the radio, but there were some important radio events that happened when I was growing up in the 80s. You may remember Howard Stern started off as a radio guy right here in Washington, D.C. He made a very crude joke when a plane crashed into Key Bridge, and he lost his radio job, but got on to other fame in New York City. Howard Stern was replaced by the Grease Man, another shock jock of the radio who had lots of crude humor, and he was extraordinarily popular here in Washington, D.C. area back in the 80s. Unfortunately, the Grease Man should have learned some lessons from Howard Stern, that there are some jokes that you don't joke about, or sort of say, some events that you do not joke about. And he made a stumble along the lines of Howard Stern, and he was forgiven once. And then he made another stumble, and he was not forgiven the second time, the Grease Man, and he lost his lucrative radio job, quite justifiably. That's really all I have to say about the radio, because I just did not listen to the radio that often when I was growing up. Number 5, the towel. What book or books would you pack for a holiday? I saw Brian at Bookish do this tag just this morning, and his answer is essentially the same as my answer. When I go on travel, I bring my Kindle. I can have 100 books on my Kindle, or I can have 1,000 books on my Kindle. It is well stocked, and I will have plenty to read, whatever I want to read on my vacation. But this is an electronic device, and electronic devices can fail. So whenever I go on vacation with my Kindle, I pack at least one paperback book for emergencies. Lately, I have been packing King Rat by James Clavell. I originally read this in high school, and I absolutely loved the book back then. I listened to the audiobook about 12 years ago, and I loved the audiobook back then. And I've always been meaning to reread this again. So I have this paperback copy, which I throw in my suitcase just for emergencies. And someday I am going to have to reread this book, and then I will have to pick a different book to pack for my vacation emergency book. But again, the Kindle is the perfect thing to take on a trip. Number 6, the Infinite Improbability Drive. Name a fast read. Well, just yesterday, I read The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. This book is 164 pages long, but it is an amazingly fast book. It helps that the type in this edition is large, so you can read this in a day fairly easily. It is the novella or novel that was the basis for the movie Hellraiser. I have not seen that movie Hellraiser in a number of years. I may rewatch it, but this is a great little horror novel that's very atmospheric and very fast-paced. I read it in a day, and I think most people can read this in a day. So this is a very fast book. Number 7, Don't Panic. Name a book with great levels of tension or suspense. I'm going to mention a trilogy. The Natchez Burning Trilogy by Greg Iles. This includes the books Natchez Burning, The Bone Tree, and Mississippi Blood. Even though this is packaged as a trilogy, it really is one large novel broken out into 3 volumes. When you get to the end of the first book, Natchez Burning, there is a resolution of sorts, but that resolution is not complete. There are many other storylines that need to be completed, and the same with the second book, The Bone Tree. But everything gets wrapped up in Mississippi blood. And this is set in the aughts in Mississippi, a small town named Natchez. There was a history of white supremacy in this town, and during the 60s, some rogue white supremacy groups that thought the KKK was a little too lenient went on a murdering spree. But years later, all these white supremacists are old men, and there is a new mayor in town, Penn Cage, and these crimes that they committed are starting to come to light. And let's just say these white supremacists want history buried. They don't want everyone knowing what murders they committed in the 60s, and things get very tense and very exciting. Greg Iles can really write a page turner. Each of these books is about 800 pages long, so it is quite a commitment, but it is a thrilling commitment. I did listen to the audiobook versions, but go ahead and seek these out. A lot of used bookstores have the paperbacks. You can get it on Kindle, or you can buy them new. But the Natchez Burning Trilogy is absolutely thrilling and a very quick book that everyone will probably enjoy. Prompt number 8, TV and film adaptations. Pick a book to discuss, one or more, TV or film adaptations that you know of the book. Pick good and bad if it's relevant to the book. Well, I am not a huge fan of film adaptations of books. I am one of those rare birds that think, no, I don't want to go see the movie, even if I enjoyed the book. Now, I am going to pick one. I'm going to pick a Herbert West Reanimator by H.P. Lovecraft. I will show you this really wild old paperback called The Rivals of Frankenstein, edited by Michael Perry. It was published in the 70s, and this is just Frankenstein-ish stories. Herbert West Reanimator is not one of H.P. Lovecraft's best stories. It's one of his worst. But the director, Stuart Gordon, turned that bad short story into a magnificently wonderful, brutal, bloody, campy horror movie. When the movie was released in the 80s, it did not have a rating, so it could only be played in theaters that normally showed adult films. I had to go out of my way to see it because I did not live next to one of these movie theaters. If you are familiar with the original uncut movie, you know there is one notorious scene. That scene ensured that Stuart Gordon could not get his movie approved with a rating, so it had to be shown in these adult theaters. If I am not mistaken, if I have been told the truth, that current streaming versions of this movie cut out that scene because that one scene just sort of made people shake their head and says, I cannot believe you're filming this scene. I will not say what it is, but if you know what scene I'm talking about, you're going to shake your head and going, I can't believe I'm seeing this on the screen. The movie is very good, campy horror, but again, you can skip Herbert West Reanimator by H.P. Lovecraft unless you're a true H.P. Lovecraft fan. Prompt number 9, tag people. Gareth tagged most of the people that I know, but I've come out with a few people I don't think he's tagged, and that would be Randy Ray, the literate Texan, Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics, Mark at Book Time with Elvis, and Leslie at Books, Gers, and Purrs. But if you've watched this tag and you feel like you want to do the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy tag, consider yourself tagged. Don't panic. Thank you for watching and keep on reading.